I get to talk a little about volunteers and mindset. I wrote a book about mindset recently called Soundtracks. And a soundtrack is just my thought, like it's a repetitive thought, a thought you hear again and again. And I wrote about mindset because God talks about it a lot. Renew your mind, take every thought captive, think of what's true and noble and beautiful. And so I wrote this book about mindset, and it was the first time that parents came up to me after and said, do you have a version for teenagers? That had never happened to me. It was my 7th book. No parent had ever asked for a version for teenagers. And I thought, wow, I can see that being a need because teens are suffering right now. The counseling line in Nashville for teenagers is 4 to 6 months. When a teenager is finally brave enough to say, I need some help, we go, no problem. We'll see you in like 6 months. How's January? And you think about the teenagers in the last few years they've been through, they need our encouragement more than they ever have before. And I think our volunteers do as well. I think our volunteers do. And here's what's really fun about mindset. Here's the simple reason I love mindset. Great thoughts turn into great actions. Great actions turn into great results. What you think matters. It sets everything in motion. And all too often as leaders, we overfocus on the results we want. We never change the underlying thoughts, so we don't get the results. So today, I want to teach you a couple of soundtracks that if you work with volunteers or you are a volunteer, you can use going forward. A couple of simple soundtracks. Here's the first one. Be brave enough to be bad at something new. Be brave enough to be bad at something new. We have this pressure we put on ourselves, especially in the church, that we have to be great at things the first time we ever do them. And I'm here to tell you the opposite. You should not be good at things you've never done. You shouldn't be good at things you've never done. So many parents during the pandemic said, John, I'm the worst at homeschooling, And I would say, yeah, you should be. You've never done it. You probably suck at hang gliding too. But we put this pressure on ourselves to be good at something we've never done. And this is a rookie year for all of us, by the way. 2023 is a rookie year. Because if I said to you, is this your 10th global pandemic you've recovered from? Nobody'd go, it is. It's almost boring at this point, like the Spanish flu, I get it. We're all figuring it out and we have to do new things. And here's what I know about volunteers. No one feels qualified to be a volunteer. No one feels qualified. They feel uncomfortable. The first thing they say back is, well, I could never do that. What would I offer? And I would argue that the person who feels overqualified is the one you have to watch. Like when you recruit somebody, they go, finally, I've been waiting, I have so many ideas. I'm gonna do a boot camp at like 4 a.m. with the teenagers. They're like, well, you know what? We'll get back to you on that. No one feels qualified. But you should be brave enough to be bad at something new because you're going to be bad at it. And we have to create spaces where people get to grow. Here's the second scorecard you need. You need new seasons deserve new scorecards. That's the second soundtrack. New seasons deserve new scorecards. I would argue that one of the meanest things you can do is hold yourself to 2019's results. So one of the meanest things you can do in the church right now is hold yourself to 2019 results. I see churches doing this. They're measuring this year against 2019 as if there wasn't a 3-year pandemic. And they're coming up short and inadequate. And I see this with young moms. I see this happen in all types of relationships. Young moms will come up to me and say, John, I'm not doing well at my goals. I'm failing my goals. And I'll say, well, tell me about your family. And they'll say, well, I have 2 twin 2-year-olds. I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I'm just being lazy on my goals. Like I'm not drinking enough water. I'm not getting my steps in. And I'll say, you have 4 humans. You're in charge of humans, like little humans. That might be enough for this season, but we have a hard time recognizing when we're in new seasons and we judge ourselves pre-parenthood. We go, man, when I was 22, when I was 23, I could just get so much more done. I don't know what changed. And I say, twins changed. Kids changed. It all changed. Here's what I would say to that. His mercies are new every morning. Maybe our scorecard should be too. His mercies are new every morning. Maybe every morning we need to go, this is the day he gave me. I'm not gonna judge this day based against what we did in 2019. Or I'm not gonna say, here's how many volunteers we had in 2018. Because so much has changed and we need a new scorecard. Here's the third soundtrack I think you need. You can take the first step without knowing the last. You can take the first step without knowing the last. And I'll even rhyme this one because I'm the son of a Southern Baptist pastor. Here's how I think about it too. The growing is in the going. You don't grow before you grow while you're going. I mean, that's what happened with Abraham, right? Go to the land I will show you. Here's what I know about volunteering. The words will show up when you need them. The skills will show up when you need them. The strengths will show up when you need them. If you tried to stop and go, as soon as I know how to respond to every question from a teenager, then I'll be ready to be a volunteer. You would never volunteer. They're gonna ask you things you can't possibly plan for, but you don't need to have a perfect plan because we have a perfect God. You have the Holy Spirit that goes, oh, I got this one. You'll never get to a situation where you say, hey, God, do you know what I should do? And he goes, I don't even know. I didn't even see this one coming. I mean, I'm omniscient, but teenagers, I didn't even know about TikTok. That wasn't in the cards. We're all confused up here. You don't have to know. You can take the first step without knowing the last. You can take the first step without knowing the last. And here's the last one, the last soundtrack that I think we all need. Fear comes free, hope takes work. Fear comes free, hope takes work. You never have to go look for fear. You never have to go look for doubt or insecurity or inadequacy. It will find you. Often in the grocery store when you're least expecting it. Have you had that moment? Like you're shopping and your brain is like, remember that dumb thing you said last week to that parent? Remember that failure from your church 3 months ago? And you go, oh, that happened to me recently. My brain was like, remember that surprise birthday party you ruined? And I was like, I do now. I do now. And it's true, I ruined it. It was a 30th birthday party, but in my defense, the person who invited me said in the email, like she buried the lead, she put it in the third paragraph. If you invite somebody to a surprise birthday party, the subject line should be, surprise, 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 don't tell Jake. If the person's name is Jake, but she didn't do that, she put it in the third paragraph. I skimmed the email, I didn't know it was a surprise. Later that day, I run into Jake, the birthday boy, and he says to me, hey, what are you doing tonight? It's Friday night, what are you doing? And I go, oh, can't wait for the party. And he goes, what party? And then I said, just in general, I like to live my life with a party mindset. Like you never know when you're gonna bump into cake. Like I'll turn the corner in a room and there's just cake sometimes. And then later that night when my wife and I went to the party, and I hadn't told my wife that I had ruined it, because she didn't need to be burdened with that, you know? We walk into the party and Tara, Jake's wife, stops the music and everybody looks at me and she said, that's Jon Acuff. He's the one I was saying ruined the party. And I was like, hey, everybody. That happened 19 years ago. And the other day, my brain was like, you seem too happy. Let's dial that back a level. Let's bring that back down just a little bit. You seem too much at peace. I'd like to do a highlight reel of your failures. Here's what I know. Fear comes free. Hope takes work. And we have to work on it. We have to work on it sometimes every day. Why are we told to pray without ceasing? Because you're going to need to some days. When you get up and it's hard and it's challenging, and we're in that season right now, especially when it comes to finding volunteers, working with volunteers, convincing them to come back, because everything has changed. Fear comes free, hope takes work. So let's keep working together. Let's all keep working today and especially tomorrow. Thanks, guys.